What the River Knows by T. Baptiste is a collection of personal essays that explores the relationships between water, place, and identity. Throughout the book, Baptiste reflects on the cultural and historical connections that Black communities have with rivers, coastlines, and other waterways. Rather than viewing water simply as a natural resource, the author presents it as something deeply tied to memory, culture, and lived experience. Through storytelling and reflection, the book highlights how landscapes, especially waterways, can shape both personal identity and community history. One of the central ideas of the book is that water carries stories of both survival and inequality. Baptiste uses personal experiences throughout the essays and historical context to show how Black communities have long depended on rivers and coastlines for transportation, livelihood, and cultural connection. At the same time, these communities have often faced environmental injustice, including exposure to pollution, limited access to clean water, and a lack of protection from environmental hazards. By weaving together narrative and analysis, Baptiste illustrates how environmental issues are closely connected to social and historical systems. The themes in What the River Knows strongly connects to broader ideas of sustainability, justice, injustice, and resilience. Sustainability is presented not only as protecting ecosystems, but as recognizing the relationships between people and the environments that they depend on. Environmental justice is a major focus, and injustice, as I said, of the book, emphasizing that environmental harms are more often distributed unevenly across communities, meaning that marginalized communities will feel those effects at a much higher rate. Baptiste highlights how they are still so deeply connected to and invested in protecting the places where they live, even though they suffer many environmental problems. One of my favorite themes throughout the book or throughout the collection of essays, I guess I should say, was resilience, which appeared intertwined in every single one of the essays. Despite facing environmental challenges and historical inequalities, communities continue to maintain strong cultural relationships with water and land. Baptiste shows that resilience can come from community knowledge, cultural traditions, and a shared commitment to protecting local environments. These perspectives help readers understand that resilience is not just about adapting to environmental change, but also about preserving identity and connection to place. Personally, one of the most compelling aspects of the book is how it connects environmental issues, which I do care deeply about, obviously, with personal stories and cultural perspectives. So many of the discussions about water and environmental conservation focus primarily on scientific or ecological factors. At least that is what we tend to get in a public school system. However, the essays show that environmental systems are also deeply social and cultural. So understanding the human connections to water can help broaden the way we think about conservation and sustainability by keeping an open mind of the cultures that are tied to that and have been since the dawn of humans. So overall, would I recommend this book? Absolutely. I think especially in current times where there is a lot of political rivalry when it comes to who belongs on what land. I think that What the River Knows encourages readers to think more deeply about relationships between people, place, and the environment. By combining personal storytelling with reflections on environmental injustice, Baptiste highlights the importance of recognizing cultural history and community shared experiences when addressing environmental changes. So the book ultimately reminds readers that sustainability is not only about protecting natural ecosystems, but it's about supporting the communities that are connected to them and have been there for many, many, many years before European settlers arrived on American soil. That was my biggest takeaway from the book. Respect your land. Land acknowledgements aren't just another thing to get through when it comes to a lot of social settings, especially at Michigan State University. There are often land acknowledgements, and I know that it can kind of seem repetitive and feel like, okay, well, I get it, I understand, but it is important to constantly reiterate that we are on land that is tied to emotion, that is tied to a deep history of culture and cultural injustice. So I think this is a very important collection of essays that will constantly be important that we read in the coming years. Thank you.